Hello, my name's Will Tsai. Thank you for your support. Trace is my secret weapon that creates up to 2 different card impressions that look like burn impressions. It's a simple and direct relation that creates very strong reactions. Let's take a look at what you have received first, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. What you receive is a stainless steel plate, laser cut in Japan, with 2 card designs on it. As you can see, for protection, there's a PVC sticker on one side. Simply peel this side off. Be careful, the plain card design cutout could be very sharp. After the layer has been peeled off, you'll find that the plate has 2 completely different finishes on 2 sides. I've designed it this way for its practical functionality. We'll get into this in later sections. For now, a few tips on how to get your gimmick completely ready for performance. First, carefully rub the gimmick with alcohol or sanitizer. This takes away the PVC residue and allows you to examine your gimmick better. Second, gently examine your gimmick. The gimmick is precisely cut, so the impression itself will match the size of real playing card. Some parts could be sharper than the other. If you find it too sharp to handle, you can file down with sandpaper so be more smooth. Myself, I just use it as it is, but you can never be too careful. Trace was designed out of necessity. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I fly out for gigs and my luggage ends up on the other side of the world. I needed something practical. It gets great reaction that I can do in close-up, parlor, stage, or any given situation. And most importantly, I needed to go into my emergency show pouch that goes in my carry-on bag. Trace was born out of it. What I'm holding in my hand is the first trace I made about 8 years ago. Over the years, I've worked out an emergency show pouch that goes in my carry-on bag, which I can do full evening show with. All materials are very adaptable from close-up to stage environment. Packs really small, but plays big. Every year, I would develop something new and replace what I think could be better in the pouch. 8 years, this has always been my pouch. And over time, I've also custom made some improvement along the way. I now carry the one you have in your hand. As you can see the difference from the original one I used for about 5 years straight. The new one is a smaller version that fits in any wallet. You have 2 card designs instead of 1. One side of the gimmick is made in mirror finish for 2 reasons. First, visibility. Even under dark environment, underneath the bar table for those on-the-fly moments, you can easily spot which side to work with. Second, over time, you may need to clean the gimmick. The mirror finish makes the process very easy. It's made of stainless steel instead of metal, so it doesn't get rusted. It's very durable and will literally last you a lifetime. The concept of trace is pretty straightforward, and like what you have probably already assumed, it creates a burn impression using the gimmick as a template. This takes only seconds and can be done from a card box, a glass of drink, underneath the bar table, on a leaf, or anywhere that's totally unexpected. You'll love it. Here comes a little surprise for you. My friend, Dan Harlan, one of the most respected minds in magic, will be the special guest and your instructor of the day. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Dan Harlan, and I'm here to share with you a really cool trick invented by my friend Will Tsai called Trace. Let's start off with a quick performance of it the way that I like to do it. First, you have a deck of cards, and you just have somebody point to any card in the center of the deck, any card at all. That one right down there. I'm going to leave it on the bottom so that there's no way that I can see it, and I'll have you take a look at it. There you go. And we'll leave it right over here. Now, I'm going to try to figure out what your card is by using just another card, but I need your help. Will you take this lighter, light it, and then just hold the flame still. That's perfect. Just like that. Now think about your card. It's okay, you can put the lighter down. Are you thinking about your card? Check this out. Did you pick the 5 of spades? How about that? Well, you have to admit that's a pretty cool trick. A spectator's selected card appears in the smoky residue from a lighter on the face of a different card. I mean, that's a neat looking thing. So take a good look at that. And they get this as a souvenir if you want to leave it with them. Obviously, you don't need this card anymore. But if you don't leave this card with them, you can reuse it over and over again. I'll show you all the things that you need to perform Trace the way that I like to do it. And first of all, you need this gimmick. This is what Will came up with, and it's a metal gimmick that has two cards that are laser cut into it, so they are perfect pips of two cards, and you can use either one for the trick. I like to use the 5 of spades most of the time because it is a black card, the 7 of hearts being a red card, and because the black smoky residue looks good when it's the 5 of spades. But you'll see a couple of times, I'm going to show you some variations where I use the 7 of hearts. So here's how you use this thing. You can probably figure out this part yourself. You're basically going to be placing that metal plate onto the face of a card and then using the lighter to burn the image into it. But I want to give you a couple of pointers on how to do that. So first of all, you want to sort of put it on at an angle, and I like to try to get the entire card into the white space on the other card, and then you want to keep this card as flat as possible, but don't worry if it separates a little bit, because the more ghostly the image looks, the better. So holding that metal in place, you light your lighter, and then you just touch it gently to the card, and that causes the burning carbon residue to make an impression through the metal plate, like so. Now you're going to touch up that card a little bit with some extra smoky residue on the rest of the face of that card, so that it looks like that 5 of spades is popping out of the smoke, just like the one I made over there. So basically, you can make a bunch of these up in advance. You could get yourself a forcing deck if you always want to use the same card over and over again. Their card appears on the 6 of diamonds every time. Or you can get yourself 2 decks and you make up gimmicks on one of them, and the other deck you will be using the blank card during the routine. So here's your setup. You take your smoky pipped card and you put it on the top of your deck. You take your matching card without the smoke and you put it on top of that. You take your force card and you put it on the bottom of the deck. You're going to force this card using whatever method you want. My favorite method has always been my favorite method. That is, when I spread out the deck, I pull that card back around so that it's even with the top card. This is a very, very old force from Hofzinser. When the spectator touches the back of any card in the center of the deck, you just separate the deck at that point, square up the top half, and that card that's been riding along at the bottom becomes their card. You set their card, selected card, aside. And then when you square up the rest of the deck, you will have your 6 of diamonds on top, ready to go. And all you have to do is have the spectator take your lighter. They hold the lighter and light it. Go ahead. You run this card over it. You take as much time as you want to with this to make this card look like it is covered, like the card that you have secretly prepared on top. Now you're going to be performing a top change as you lean in to blow out the flame. So you're actually holding this card, but that cues your spectator to turn the lighter off and drop it. You don't show them this card yet. Instead, you just shake it a little bit, like that, and then slowly reveal the card, and it looks like the smoke has changed to show their card. At this point, all they want to examine is this card because they think it's the only one that's been in play, and you can clean up your deck because the top card is the one that's covered with the smoke. You can palm it away, you can go into other tricks, you could do anything you want to at that point. Now, if you're not familiar with the top change, Top change actually isn't that difficult to do, and especially when you have misdirection like blowing out the candle flame. So basically you're going to be in this position like this, and then you just bring your hands together for a second. And here's what happens with the top change. You're dealing off the card that you're going to switch in, you're placing it underneath the other card, then taking back the top card like that. So you're really just switching those two cards in a very simple action. Now if you don't do the top change, I'll give you some other options. Perhaps you want to do a visual change. Well, you can do that as well. After you're done with this, you can take the card and lay it on top of the deck and then pick up a double in preparation for what has become known as the shapeshifter change. Now the shapeshifter change is a little bit different than what I'm going to show you here. What I'm showing you here is the original change, which is called the pivot color change. It was invented by Noel Stanton in 1964. And it's very simple to do. All you do is use your ring finger to push those two cards out and use your index finger to pull them toward you. This is the action of pivoting the two cards around. And you perform that action as you shake the cards up and then down. So on the up you push, on the down you pull. And it'll look like this. So here's the card covered in smoke. You kind of move it around a little bit to get them used to it, and you say, watch the smoke. It changes to reveal your card. Now the main problem with the pivot color change or the shapeshifter is that you do have to clean it up after you've done it. You can't immediately hand this card out because it is a pair of cards. So what I do to clean it up is to lay the cards onto the deck for just a second as though I'm adjusting the position of my hand. I pick it up and I give it a little snap and then hand it out to them. Here's another one for you. If you want to, you can have this card prepared on the bottom instead of the top. And when you force that card, just make sure you don't accidentally flash it. Then, after you put the smoke on this card, you place it under the deck and show it, and prepare yourself for the glide. If you're not familiar with the glide, well, then you need to do a little bit of studying. The glide is very simple. All you're going to be doing is as you turn the cards down like this, you're going to be pulling back with your fingers like that to separate so that you can get to the second card. So you just turn your hand down like this and pull the second card out. Now the glide is not optimal for this. My preference obviously is the top change. It makes it look like only one card's been in play the entire time. But you can use any change that you want to, that you feel comfortable with. But I think the top change is motivated and works really nicely in this case. Well, here's a couple of problems that you might be thinking about. First of all, you have to use two cards when you perform this trick, and both of those cards get ruined. This card in particular gets ruined. If the spectator keeps this card, well, it's ruined as well. If they don't keep it, you can reuse it with another blank six of diamonds. But if you want to, you can simply use one card to do this, and here's how. Instead of preparing the card with smoke all over it and the card just peeking out, here's a prepared card where you use Will's gimmick and you prepare it very close to the index corner of the card like this. Now here you would force the 7 of hearts, and when you pick up the card off of the deck, so basically you do exactly the same thing, you're just going to be forcing the 7 of hearts on somebody. So the 7 of hearts would be the card that's forced. Again, use any force you want to. It's laying down there. When you take the card off the top of the deck, instead of just openly showing it, you're going to take it with your left hand, held deep in your hand like this. And you're only going to flash it for a second. So you just hold the deck from above in your right hand, peel it off with your left hand, set the deck down and say, we'll just use the 5 of diamonds. And you're obscuring the part that's already prepared. So now when you take the lighter and you have the spectator hold it and you're running it under it like this, you can show that there's smoke building up on the card, but just keep your fingers over the part that shows the pips of the 7 of hearts. So then you just show them this, and you just turn it around casually in your hand. And now with a single card, without any switch at all, you can make their card appear in the smoke on the card that you just took from the deck. So it's a nice option if you don't want to destroy too many cards and you want to make just one souvenir for them. Now in addition to that, I think this gimmick is so cool you can use it for so many different things. For example, I have prepared a smoky 7 of hearts on a $1 bill. So using the gimmick the same way, you then take that dollar bill and fold it into eighths and classic palm it. At this point, you force the 7 of hearts, you borrow a dollar bill from somebody, and you say, I'm going to ask you to hold this between your hands. So here, let me just fold it up like this, and I want you to hold it between both of your hands like that. Now at this point, what I've done is I've taken the palmed dollar and I've just placed it right on top in the action of showing them what to do. When I turn my hands over, I palm the other dollar out. It's a really nice switch. Let me do it full speed for you to show you. You don't have to do anything fancy here because it looks like you're just demonstrating what they should do. So here's your dollar. I'm going to fold the dollar up. And what I want you to do is to hold it between your hands like this, palm to palm between your hands. So place the dollar between your hands. You've now effectively switched in the one that has the smoke on it. So instead of applying the smoke directly to the face of the dollar or to the card, they're holding on to a 7 of hearts. They're holding the bill between their palms. All you do is bring out your lighter, and you just quickly run your lighter underneath their hand like this. Now, if they're at all like me, where they have a little bit of hair on the back of their hand, don't pause with the flame underneath their hand. Just run it quickly and put it away. Then ask them to open up their dollar bill, and they will be shocked to find that their card is now burnt into the money. So that's a way that you can do it really, really quickly. Now, if you know anything at all about using the equivoque to force a card, you now have a way of performing this without a deck of cards at all, apparently with borrowed objects. All you have to do is borrow $1 from somebody. So remember, you have your gimmick prepared. You can start out the effect by saying, I'd like to borrow $1 from somebody. I want to show you kind of a cool thing that you can do with the powers of the mind. You borrow the dollar, you fold it up, you explain how they're supposed to hold on to it, you hand them the dollar to hold on to it after switching it. You now have all the time in the world to get rid of the other dollar, and they are holding apparently their own dollar between their hands. And you now lead them through equivoque, and I'm not going to take all the time to do that process, because if you're not interested in it, you won't do it. But you can now lead them through an equivoque where they choose the 7 of hearts in their mind, and you don't even need a lighter at this point. You tell them to think about their card and burn the image into the bill. When they unfold it, they now see the image burned into the bill. It's a little mixture of mentalism, magic, however you want to view it, but it's definitely a weird trick. Failing using the equivoque, you can obviously just force the 7 of hearts at that point on somebody else. So there's lots of options you can use.
Dan has gone through the application of trace on bill, but don't let this limit you. Here's another really cool application: emboss.
Let me give you just one more, and that is that you can take a dollar bill, and this is going to be hard for you to see, so let's get a close-up of this. Here on the dollar, embossed in it, is the 5 of spades. The 5 of spades is actually raised into the face of the dollar bill. And the way you do that is you moisten the dollar bill, take a little bit of water, moisten it, and then press it into the gimmick. Now you want to press it from the reverse side of the gimmick. So basically you're going to lay it on just like you would normally do it to burn it, but instead of burning it, you press it from the reverse side, and then you let this dollar dry completely. So in this case, you use exactly the same switch. You switch their dollar for the one that you've got prepared, and instead of telling them to burn the image into it, you're going to affect the fiber of the dollar. You're going to affect the molecular structure of their bill. So when they unfold it, there, molded into the bill, is the name of their card. And you can basically burn the image into anything, a piece of paper. You could burn it into a sign or onto a wall or a light bulb or a piece of chewing gum. Use it any way you want to. I think it's brilliant, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. That's Trace by Will Tsai, and that's the way I like to use it.
Thanks to my friend Dan Harlan for contributing to Trace. Hope you enjoy it. Many people overlook the power of taking a little step ahead, so I'm going to cover a little bit of those here for your reference. So far, Dan has covered great details on preparing trades ahead of time on playing cards and bills. A lot of time when I do this, I do the work on the flight. For example, there was one time I arrived at this outdoor event a little bit earlier. I jumped on a barbecue table and put the impression on a leaf dangling from a tree. When the event starts, I walk around, social, did some stuff here and there. At the end of the event, I went to the area and did the leaf revelation. I held up the lighter, had the spectator imagine her car among the flame and try to feel it from the fire. I said, "Look up," and when everybody looked up, when they see the revelation, the reaction was massive. It was so impossible, out of reach for anyone. It was so clearly seen. It became a talk about for a long time after the event. And since then, I had to make it a regular effect. When things are out of your reach, outside of your hand, and outside of the things that you introduce out of your pocket, magic just becomes that much more powerful. I encourage you to try applying traits on different objects. Find what's best for you. Find what's most interesting to your audience. You can also do traits on the fly, even if you have nothing prepared. If you are in a casual environment, talking with friends, hanging out, sometimes you'll sense whether if you want to be performing something in a little bit of time. There were many times I just casually take out the gimmick and the lighter underneath the table. While talking with people, create the impression underneath the table. A very fun trick is, you can force a card, do a rub-a-dub vanish as if the card penetrates down. Invite people to look under the bar table. It makes absolutely no sense. But like I said, the impression itself is a very interesting image for people, along with the card vanish and the apparent penetration. It's an interesting and weirdly magical moment. You can also prepare to use trace as an out. Instead of applying trace on a playing card, you can apply on a card box. This way, first you can repeat the effect over and over without having to reset. Second, you have an option of whether to do it or not, because the setup is not on the card anymore. It doesn't affect your everyday use of the card. One thing though, because you'll be using the case over and over, taking the case in and out of the pocket will smudge the impression. After you create impression, you can put a few layers of hairspray or any other protective spray over it. Now you have one very strong trick already ready every time when you bring out a deck of cards. And you don't have to do it. You can do your regular routine as usual. When people ask you for one last trick or one more, you now have a perfect finale that the deck ends up in the card box. It's a very slick ending. Here we are. Thank you again for your support. Trace is my baby. Whether if you are a professional or not, Trace is something you know that's going to stay with you inside your wallet for those unexpected moments. I hope you have awesome use of it. If you like my work, make sure you ask your favorite magic shop about my other items. If you like to be the first that knows about my release, make sure to check out SenseMinds.com. My name is Will Tsai. I'll see you next time. Beyond Holy is an extension package for Original Holy. It explores the principle and let the effect meet its full potential. Beyond Holy features the world's first in spectator's hand self-moving hole effect. The sidecar is in your spectator's hand the entire time. You move the intangible hole just a little bit to push the boundary of reality. Then the hole follows your hand and moves on its own. Absolutely a killer. How about beyond playing cards? There are routines that you perform with everyday objects like your own credit cards. It's a powerful, self-working routine with a real credit card, no switch. A card that you can perform with and shop with. Now what about borrowed items? The borrow bill routine allows you to move a hole on a signed borrow bill. Again, no preparation, no switch. The bill you borrow is the bill you perform with. Beyond Holy involves a new type of working that complete the Original Holy. And this brings my journey on this plot to an end. I'm very proud to bring you my complete work of this classic plot. If you haven't had a chance to get the Original Holy, I strongly recommend picking up the complete set, Beyond Holy. Imagine yourself being able to alter physical reality in your spectator's hand. On a sidecar held by your spectator, you punch a hole that it can see through. You slowly drag the hole across the car from one side to the other. Let go and walk away. There's no cleanup, no switch, and no funny business. The car is in their hand the entire time. This is holy.
I think that he didn't really do this trick because, according to him, I did this trick. I used my imagination, which is very powerful. Turn up. You do it. Wait. I signed a blank piece of art. We'll put my signature on it.
That was mass, man. He's amazing.
I don't know what to say.
His jaw's dropping.
It's honestly, it's not. It's magic. No way. He did it. No,
Look at the card.
I was holding it. I saw the cards. He just did it.
I was owned. I don't know how he did that.